It's 5 p.m. here in Lagos, Nigeria, and a fresh new edition for the week. I'm Jackie Rogers. Here's what's coming up on the world today. U.S. sends guided missile submarine to the Middle East amid rising tensions in the region. And thousands of residents flee their homes in Greece as raging wildfire spreads north of Athens. The world today begins right now. Welcome back. A quick check on the weather. Thousands of residents in Greece are fleeing their homes as a raging wildfire is spreading north of Athens, with houses and properties severely damaged. According to the Greek Civil Protection Minister, Vasilis Kikilias, about 670 fighters, 27 forestry teams, 183 vehicles and 32 aerial units are involved in fighting the wildfires. He also says that the winds are forecast to remain very strong in the next few hours. Greece, which has recorded its hottest months of June and July this summer, has seen hundreds of devastating wildfires similar to other parts of the Mediterranean. Experts have connected the flames to the hotter and drier weather brought on by global warming. A pilot has died after a chopper crashed into the roof of a hotel in northern Australia. Authorities noted that the morning flight was unauthorized and the aircraft hit the hotel at around 1:50 local time today, sparking a fire and forcing the evacuation of hundreds of guests. Officials say 2 hotel guests were injured in the incident and taken to a hospital. A man in his 80s and a woman in her 70s were taken to hospital in a stable condition. Some local media reports have suggested that the helicopter was stolen. Nautilus Aviation, which owned the helicopter, said it would work closely with all authorities in the Australian state of Queensland as they examine the unauthorized use of one of the helicopters in the early hours of the morning. The campaign train continues its journey in the U.S. as Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris addressed supporters in Las Vegas. In her remarks, Ms. Harris warned Republican frontrunner Donald Trump against picking a fight over what she called the most fundamental freedoms during a campaign rally in Las Vegas. Ms. Harris also vowed to support America's working families, pledging to cut taxes on service industry tips and raise the minimum wage. She looks to take on the former president in November's election.
I promise to everyone here, when I am president, we will continue our fight for working families of America. Including to raise the minimum wage and eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers. Hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. Well, hold on. The court's gonna take care of that. We just gonna beat him in November. We'll beat him in November. If Donald Trump wants to pick a fight over our most fundamental freedoms, we say, bring it on. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Well, August 12 every year is International Youth Day, celebrated to mark the contributions of the youth in the development of society. Each year, International Youth Day focuses on a specific theme that highlights different aspects of empowering and nurturing youth. In 2024, the selected theme is From Clicks to Progress, Youth Digital Pathways for Sustainable Development. According to the UN, the theme discussed the connection between digitalization and accelerating the progress of the Sustainable Development Goals emphasizing the crucial contributions of young people in this transformative process. Meanwhile, a new report by the International Labour Organization says the global labour market outlook for young people has improved in the last 4 years, and the upward trend is expected to continue for 2 more. However, the report titled Global Employment Trends for Youth 2024 Get for Youth cautions that the number of 15 to 24-year-olds who are not in employment, education or training is concerning, and that the post-COVID-19 pandemic employment recovery has not been universal.
The ILO report shows that we actually see a record low of youth unemployment, a 15-year low of 13%, which is an extraordinary finding. However, this is uneven across regions, and women are not benefiting from this recovery to the same extent as young men. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and the report is putting forward lessons learned over 20 years of what works and what the ILO has learned when it comes to youth employment.
Joining us now is UNICEF country representative in Nigeria, Christian Munduate. She joins us from Abuja. Thank you for your time. I see you smiling.
Yes, I'm smiling because today that we are celebrating the International Youth Day should be seen as a huge, gigantic opportunity to speak about the different pathways and opportunities that technology can bring to young people in Nigeria.
And what's the significance of this year's theme, From Clicks to Progress, Youth Digital Pathways for Sustainable Development?
Well, basically, the approach is to look at technology and innovation as a critical tool to empower and to strengthen the capacities of young people and adolescents around the world. I think this is a critical and essential topic in a country like Nigeria, where the population reaches more than 220 million people, and where the population dividend is in the young people. Now, the countries historically has been facing an education crisis. This means that many young adults and adolescents have not had the opportunity to attend to formal education. Neither they have had access to informal education or any type of formative programs that can enable them to be prepared for a job. Basically, because of the lack of access, because of security, because of a long-standing lack of investment in these sectors. But technology can bring a huge opportunity. Initially and definitely, the country needs to invest in infrastructure for technology. Another factor here in the country, of course, is access to internet with the mobiles and other type of equipment, and even having access of permanent energy. And that requires, yes, a high investment at the beginning, but then the dividend becomes highly value for money. Once you have the infrastructure, the outreach through different programs and tools is just exponential. So this is why it is so important that today, and of course this is not only today, but youth is in the agenda of almost all countries around the world for many reasons, right? And one of them is the lack of employment in many countries, and maybe Along with this is not just the lack of employment, but the lack of skills and the lack of preparedness to access a job. So this is why today's celebration is so important. Also, in looking at in a very positive way, technology and access to information also gives young people the opportunity to strengthen their citizenship, to participate, to have an opinion in issues that affect them directly. And I say positive because unfortunately at times, for example, in social media, this is used to enact negative actions that instead of helping and supporting the development of a country or of the youth, it only enables violence and push backwards. But I think that we should take a lot of advantage of what is there in a positive manner. UNICEF is working a lot on different platforms for young people, and we have an initiative that is called Generation Unlimited, and the chapter in Nigeria began. Our goal is that by 2030, we will be engaging 20 million young people and adolescents. When we speak about adolescents, it's since 10, 11 years until 24 years through different means.
Right, Christian. If I could come in there, how can educational institutions and governments better support youth in developing the digital skills necessary for sustainable development? Because before you mentioned all these problems and what investments are lacking. So how can we surmount this problem?
Yeah, well, number one definitely is budgets. We need investment, and I truly believe, yes, it is government investment, both at federal and at state level, but also contribution of other sectors like private sector, right? They play a huge role in the country, and definitely the media to make this possible. The platforms are there, it's just to scale them up. And so we don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's just to have the connectivity, the access, and of course, the political will to move rapidly and massively. For example, I was mentioning the different platforms that UNICEF has within this partnership of what we call Generation Unlimited. And I was mentioning that the goal is to reach 20 million young people by 2030. At this moment, as we speak, we have reached 6.2 million young people and adolescents through different means. So it's not just like one after the other. For example, we have a platform that is called YOMA. YOMA is a sort of program where young people begin from scratch on some soft skills that they need: communication skills, emotional intelligence. From there on, how to, for example, if you have an entrepreneurship, how to manage, how to do your financials in these regards. And also, for example, how to look for a job, how to prepare a CV, or how to write an interest letter when you are looking for a job. So it's different micro courses that you go in YOMA, and then you have an accreditation as you evolve in the program. That's one initiative. But the other one, for example, is the Nigerian Learning Passport. This we have been working with the government, the federal government of Nigeria, and also with some state governments. The model is there. It has proven success. real success. Now it's time to scale it up, but to have a one approach in terms of the Nigerian Learning Passport, which has a variety of content. It helps children that are in school to reinforce their learning, but also it helps out of school children to still have access to some information and learning while they are out either working or just staying at home because of the security situation, and they cannot attend school. So these are just some examples of what we are doing.
Right. Thank you so much. Really must go. Thank you for your time, Christian Manduate.
Yes, thank you. And we do invite that through this wonderful work of Channels Television, that you engage more young people to look for these platforms where they can strengthen themselves and they can look for development opportunities. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back. A former UK police commissioner and former board member at the College of Policing in England, Festus Akinbusoye, has drawn similarities between the nature of protests in the UK and in Nigeria, declaring his support for the protests, but not for the violence that threatens to overtake them. He also acknowledges the difficulty by security agents in maintaining law and order. He was speaking to our foreign affairs correspondent, Amarachi Ubani, on our Foreign Affairs program, Diplomatic Channel.
I'm very aware of the protests, the end bad governance protests, which in some cases have, again, morphed into riots and sheer acts of criminality. I know that in some areas it's even spilled into elements of xenophobia, where you have, I believe, one guy saying, all Igbos must leave Lagos, which is just total nonsense and claptrap, if you ask me, really. But policing this kind of public order incidents is really difficult. I've been in one or two myself as a volunteer police officer here, and it is tough. And what some of your viewers might not know as well is that in Britain, the police are unarmed as a matter of routine. Even to have a taser, that is a highly regulated firearm that even your average police officer does not carry. So when you're facing a baying mob that have got knives or other kind of paraphernalia on them that they're throwing at you, you have to now wait for specialist units to deal with that. And you will not even still get firearms officers being called to this kind of roles. There will be public order trained police officers who will have their batons, they'll have the shields to be able to protect themselves from things being thrown at them. But you will not hear police officers in Britain coming to a public order incident with firearms like we see in other parts of the country, unless there is any evidence of people carrying firearms that they can use against them. But overall, it is a very difficult thing to do. But I would say overall, the police officers in Britain, they have done a fantastic job in dealing with some of this thuggery that we've seen on our streets.
Let's talk a bit about the protests in Nigeria, and you touched briefly on that. In one of the scenes of the riots in the northern parts of the country, people were seen waving Russian flags and flags from other countries. I wanted to get your reaction to that.
Well, any head of state and any government will rightly be very concerned about a foreign flag being waved at a time of a protest. Now, look, if you happen to have any kind of allegiance to Russia and you have a flag of Russia at your home, I don't think anyone would bat an eyelid at that. That's fine. Nigeria, I'm sure, is a welcoming country, and there are many people from other parts of the world who live in Nigeria, and it's fine to wave the flag of your country. I don't think that's a problem. But to start doing so at a time of civil disobedience, in my opinion, is a problem, and could be seen in some quarters as an act of, interference in the domestic affairs of that sovereign nation. Of course, protesting is fine, but when you start introducing the flag of a foreign nation to a protest in the country, I would be very worried about that. And Another reason why I'm actually quite concerned about this is that we have seen the level of Russian interference in other parts of Africa, which has destabilized governments, rightly or wrongly. I think that is something that we are not as alive to in Africa as I think we should do. And in fact, if you look at cyber related threats and attacks in the world, the United States, Ukraine, the UK are in the top three. And if you look at the four sources of many of these cyber threats: China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. And the way these kind of manifest themselves in nation states is something that's quite concerning. And so I was very, very worried when I saw this flag being waved. And quite rightly, I think the Nigerian government and the law enforcement agencies should be worried. But I think we've got to balance this as to what the intent really is and what the source is. But overall, it should be something that's quite concerning to anyone.
Well, you can hear more of the Festus Akin Busoye's thoughts on Diplomatic Channel. It airs tonight at 8:30 on Sky 515 and on DSTV at 11:30 p.m. At least 23 people are now known to have died after a landslide at a massive rubbish dump in the Ugandan capital, Kampala. Police say rescuers are continuing to dig through the waste in the hope of finding more survivors after the landslide, which followed weeks of torrential rain. The 36-acre Kitizi landfill is the only one serving the whole of Kampala, a city home to an estimated 4 million people. The city authorities have reportedly been trying to find a new site for many years. A huge hill formed by the build-up of rubbish collapsed late on Friday night, burying houses on the edge of the site while residents were asleep. President Yoweri Museveni has ordered an investigation into how people had been allowed to live so close to the potentially hazardous and dangerous heap, and ordered the removal of those in what he called the danger zone. And hundreds of visitors flocked to the Hangzhou water park in eastern China in a bid to escape scorching temperatures there. Guests can be seen swimming in a wave of pool amid the sweltering heat wave. This week, the Meteorological Observatory issued a red warning alert for high temperatures. The extreme heat is expected to last for several days, reaching highs between 42 Celsius and 43. The Paris Games are over, but many are still reeling from the sights and sounds, especially those that caused quite a stir at the Olympics. Two familiar faces were up and about at the Games, only they were not who they appeared to be. There have been several pictures and videos of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and former US President Donald Trump at the International Games. However, they were not real, but professional lookalikes engaging in a series of playful pranks and social media stunts. The men in real life are Australian music producer Howard X, who is famous for his uncanny resemblance to Kim Jong-un, and also Russell White, who looks like Donald Trump. Both men teamed up to have fun with the crowd with their satire. The famous impersonators commented on the organization of the game, which took place in Paris between July 26 and August 11, marking the third time the French capital has hosted the Summer Olympics following the 1900 and 1924 Games.
There we go. Oh shit! Oh, right.
see what I feel about the Olympics. Goosebumps. It's fantastic. Merci France, merci Paris pour cette fantastic Olympic. It's unbelievable. It's fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah, everything has gone to plan. I think we've been here for 3 days, and it's been really well organised. Great facilities, great atmosphere, really great Olympic Games.
It's been a fantastic experience. Yeah, it's been great. Paris has done a really good job. So I've seen different Olympics, but yeah, you're right up there. So you guys done a really good job.
We're here to party with the athletes for the closing ceremony. It's been a great Olympic Games, and hopefully one day we'll have it in Pyongyang.
Yes.
Yes, I think so.
You may be able to go to the games in your country, but it's doubtful you'll come back.
Yeah, it's a one-way ticket. One-way ticket.
And that's the world today. Thank you for watching. I'm Joke Rogers.